Welcome to the Exporter's Guide. I will be sharing with you guys some of the things I've learned from being an exporter. My name is Shalom, born and raised in Nigeria, I'm proudly Nigerian, and I'm sharing with you guys some insights from my experience doing international trade, specifically between West Africa and America, and I've been doing this for over a decade now, and so I have some experience, you would say. I don't have any formal experience or education, rather, in this sector. This has been from pure experience, over a decade of it. And so I'm sharing with you guys from my insights, from what I've learned, and hopefully you can find some value in that. I get questions or messages sent to me on a daily basis about exports. And so I hope here that I can kind of give you the reality of exporting, especially from Africa, exporting, especially if you're talking about agricultural exports, because that's what I focus on. And hopefully I can answer your questions through these conversations. So welcome again to the Exporter's Guide. This is going to be a blueprint on how to become successful as an African exporter, or how to deal with exporters from the continent. So welcome. I see I already have some messages here. Thank you all for being here. Annalisa, Moyo, Sabrina, Sandra, Shagan. Welcome to you all. Now, I'm specifically speaking about exporting from West Africa, and especially from Nigeria or Ghana. These are the areas and societies that, or communities, countries that I export from, have some experience in, and into the Americas. So, where do we start? Exporting, as most people know, if you're here, you're probably interested in it. But it can be very rewarding in many ways. It primarily just involves selling your products or services into foreign markets. So it doesn't need to be across the seas. It could be within the continent, but a different country. Some of the benefits of exporting are, you can spread your risk and reduce your dependence on the local market, which I know most Nigerians are looking for at the moment. It can help increase your sales and your productivity. It can help you be a lot more efficient. And then it definitely helps with generating new ideas, marketing techniques, and how to improve your business in different ways. So that's the basis and benefits of exporting. But there's a lot you have to do to be prepared for the export business. And so I'm going to just walk you through a few steps or a few things that we'll touch on as far as exporting. One, there's the registrations, which you have to have. Do you know the requirements, first of all, for an exporter? And are you registered for that? Are you already registered as an exporter? Do you know the requirements depending on the country you're in? Again, I'll be speaking from a Nigerian perspective. So do you have your exporter's license? Do you have your business registered? Do you have your exporter license registered? Things of that nature. Number two, do you understand the market? This is often where I see some of the major hiccups is not understanding the market. When you're dealing with exports, you're dealing with different societies, different communities, different countries. The way they do things can be very different from the way you're used to doing things. So you have to understand that market, whether it's a market you're exporting from or importing from, or a market you're exporting from and the market you're exporting to. So do you understand that market? And in order to develop a successful export business, you have to have a good understanding of your target market. It's essential. So, like I said, do you know the export potential of the product that you're trying to market in those markets? So, for example, now if you want to export cashews, do you know the actual market where cashews are being bought in import quantity? Or is there a big local retail market for cashews? So you have to do those research for the specific products that you're trying to export. So with that, have you identified a market for your product? Not every market is good for every product. So having a good understanding of that is essential. If not, you're just going to be bringing a product to a market that's not good. That happened to me. When I first started in 2010, I truly believed that, hey, exporting fashion is the way to go. And I just had the wrong product. It didn't do well. I lost a lot of money. I failed. But I learned a valuable lesson, which was doing the research to know that my product was in demand in that market. So that's one example. Do you know how to enter the market? This is another thing. Just because you have the right product, just because you've identified the market, does not mean that you're going to be successful at it. There's still some research that has to be done on how to enter that market. Okay, so the way you enter a Nigerian market can be very different from the way you enter a Ghanaian market, or a Tanzanian market, or the way you enter the United States market is different from the way you enter the Canadian market or the Mexican market. So you have to really understand your product. Like I said, first, you have to identify the export potential of the product. Then find a market for your specific product, identify that market, and then know how to enter that market. Yeah, it takes quite a lot of research. So often, I see that most people just want to export. Well, where do you want to export to? Do they want your product? Is it being sold there? And then how do you enter that market? Do you speak the language? Do you have partners there that can help ease how to get in there, how to get your product registered, how to find the customers, different things. So you have to know how to enter that market. Do you know if your product will be acceptable in that market, in its current form? So, again, mostly we find these challenges, especially in Africa, where you might have great cashews, sure, but are you just selling the raw nut where it's not even cracked yet, so that it's then processed by somebody else? Or are you processing it and then supplying it? So you have to know if the product is acceptable. Now, in my case, I shared earlier how I failed with fashion. Okay, what if I started doing it on a smaller scale, and I'm glad I did it on that scale and failed, because if I started doing it on a major scale and you're exporting containers of fashion, and then you come to find out that country doesn't allow, manufactured clothing as an import product, then you're stuck with containers of product that can't even enter that market. And that just has to do with if you even did the research to know how to enter the market, or if the product's even acceptable in that market. So that research is important. It will save you a lot of time and money. Okay? So these are basic things in terms of understanding the market. So first, I'll talk to you about registration, which is pretty foundational and basic. But the main thing is understanding the market. Do you understand the market that you're trying to tap into? Most people that I've interacted with just say, hey, I want to export. But, okay, what product do you have? Do you know, Kofi, I asked you that. This was one of the first questions I asked you, right? Was, all right, what's the largest market for it? Okay. These are the questions I asked because these are the first things that I would want to know. So if you haven't done the research for your product, whether you're selling food or clothes or whatever else, know the market for your product. Okay? That's extremely important. It will save you a lot of time and money. So